Okay, so we're going to be dividing this one to one more synthetic division problem. All right, so first step, we need to write the coefficients of the dividend, the number we're dividing into, and remember to represent missing terms as zeros. All right, so notice we have no x cubed term and no x term. So both of those need to be represented as zeros. All right, so we have 1, 0, 2, 0, negative 24. That's our dividend. And then our divisor, right? So for synthetic division, we need to change the factor to the 0. So we have x plus 2 equals 0. Subtract 2 from both sides. X is negative 2. Right? So that's in synthetic division. That is going to be our divisor. All right, so now to use synthetic division, of course, we bring down the first term to start the process. All right, so 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. All right, so we bring down, multiply, and add. All right, so 0 plus negative 2 is negative 2. And then we multiply. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. And then we add. 2 plus 4 is 6. Multiply. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Add, you get negative 12. So you see the steps are really very easy as long as you remember them. Negative 12 times negative 2 is a positive 24, and that gives us a remainder of 0. So remember, the last column is the remainder. After that, we have the constant term, x, x squared, and x cubed. All right, so let's write our solution here with its variables, right? I'm going to write the complete solution here. So we have x cubed minus 2x squared plus 6x minus 12. Right? So when we divide x plus 2 by, when we divide x to the fourth plus 2x squared minus 24 by x plus 2, we get x cubed minus 2x squared plus 6x minus 12. Notice it's 1 degree less. So now we want to solve the remaining equation. So we have two choices. We either can use synthetic division, again with a different divisor, right? So we have to kind of figure out what divisor that might be or guess what it might be. In a follow-up lesson, we're going to learn how to determine possible divisors. Or if we can try factor by grouping. And this one looks pretty good for factor by grouping. Right? Notice you've got coefficient of 1, negative 2, 6, negative 12. Seems to be a little pattern there. So let's use factor by grouping. Right? So we have x cubed minus 2x squared. Remember, factor by grouping, the first two are a group. We have to have 4 terms. We need a plus in between, and the second two are a group. All we're doing is rewriting that equation. It has the same value. Right? We're just separating it into groups so that we can do factor by grouping. Right? We plot a greatest common factor. So x cubed minus 2x squared are both divisible by x squared. So at no point do we have, all the way through, each expression is equivalent to the one above it. So if I take the parentheses off, I have what I wrote up there in blue. Right? If I redistribute, right, then I would have the step right in front of it. Right, so now we're going to divide x cubed and negative 2x squared by x squared. X cubed divided by x squared is just an x. Negative 2x squared divided by x squared is negative 2. Right, now out of 6x and negative 12, they're both divisible by 6. So we'll factor out 6. 6x divided by 6 is x. Negative 12 divided by 6 is a negative 2. And you notice we have a repeating factor. So we can factor that repeating factor out. And when we do that, we're left with the terms x squared plus 6. And now we have factored it. Notice we have a squared term, which means usually we try to factor that. But notice this is a sum of squares. And we can't factor a sum of squares, but we can solve by using square roots. All right, so first of all, we have 2 solutions so far. Right? We have the solution negative 2, x equals negative 2, right? Because that's what we divided by, right? So x plus 2 would be the factor, and then the solution, of course, would be negative 2. And then by factoring, we got a second solution, x minus 2, a second factor. And when we set that equal to 0 and solve, we have our second solution. So we have negative 2 and positive 2. And now we're going to use square roots to get the third. All right, so we have x squared plus 6 equals 0. We'll subtract 6 from both sides. X squared is equal to negative 6. And now we'll take a square root. And I left myself a little space so I could squeeze the square root in before I ran out of space. Don't forget plus or minus for the constant term, right? Because if I square something positive or negative, I still get a positive number. Square root of x squared, of course, is x. And the square root of negative 6, you can factor out the negative 1. Square root of negative 1, of course, is I. And then we can't do anything to simplify a 6 under the radical. So we have 4 solutions, which is what we expect because this is x to the 4th. We have 2 real solutions. If we were graphing, these would be x-intercepts. And we have 2 complex solutions. And those would not be x-intercepts. But we would be able to tell from the graph that we did have 2 complex solutions by the shape of the graph. All right, and that's all there is for this particular podcast. I wanted to get that last problem in on the podcast. Did the previous tape the year before, but everything on that was good. Just want to add the last little problem there. And of course, I'll post the whiteboard practice. All right, so now instead of long division, it's synthetic division. All right, thanks for watching. Bye for now.